Hello, hello, and welcome to another segment of the Infinite Women's Network Success Summit. And today we have Debraca Russell. She is the CEO of Agape Career Counseling Group. Hey, Debraca.
Hi, Anika. How are you?
I am good. It is Friday, at least for us it is. I don't know about you guys on the summit, but it's a good Friday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It is Friday. Yeah,
Okay.
we made it.
And I know it's a good thing that you made it because of the profession that you're in. So can you tell everyone who you are and what it is that you do?
So, my name is Debraca Russell. Again, I am a certified resume writer and the owner and founder of Agape Career Counseling Group. So, what I do is I meet business professionals right where they are in their career. We have a conversation to discover where they want to go, them create a plan, a strategic plan that will get them to their next step. Whether it's a 1 year plan, 3 year plan, 5 year plan, I help them get there so that they don't feel like they're lost in the world of employment. Another big part of my company is to write resumes, and I am certified to do such. Because everyone thinks that they can put words on a page, and it is words on a page, but it's just the way you tell that story that either gets your phone to ring or not to ring.
I want to ask a question because one thing that I'm learning since I created the summit is that you can be certified to write a resume. Those of us who are ignorant to things as such would never know. So explain how you came about being an HR professional. What drove you to that field, and what leads someone to be certified in writing a resume? Why is that important?
So, what drove me to the field of HR was my management career. When I graduated from Florida State, I went straight into retail management because I loved fashion. But then I never realized why I kept getting burned out. Regardless of the amount of money I made, I would be burned out. And so I realized that I was more of a servant leader and not the type of leader that wanted to, write you up or demote you for not making your sales or not doing this, display properly. I was more concerned with people, and so I decided I needed to go back and get my master's degree where I focused in business with a concentration in HR. And that's when I like to say I stopped working, because it stopped becoming mentally and physically taxing, and it became mentally stimulating. I absolutely love what I do every single day, so I don't work at all, actually. In my mind, in my heart, I don't work. And so once I started my career into HR, there's so many different paths that you can take. And so that's exactly what I did. I did an internship to find out what path I liked most. And the portion that I absolutely loved was the interviewing and onboarding the applicant tracking system of that portion of the interaction. It was like a drug for me. And so I was hooked. And then once I started working for a company called Abram Ministries, which is here in Tampa, Florida, I was a career coach for people that were returning home from incarceration. And so I was looking for a way to solidify my knowledge, and I stumbled upon this certification. And so I did my research and realized that there was such a thing as a certification and that I needed to get it to make my resume writing even better. So prior to getting the certification, I would say I was like good. I was decent. I had, a, regular document. I could put words on it. I got done with the certification. I went from 0 to 5,000. It completely transformed how I looked at the resume, why I do strategic placement of things where I place them, and why I tell a story. Before it was just Anika is a great employee. Now it's Anika is a great employee because she produced that. And so those are things that you're going to learn in the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. That certification will take you to a whole nother level.
See, I think that's extremely important because what I really want people to understand is why it's important to invest in yourself. And we say that all the time in business, and you have the combination of business and human resources, which to me is impeccable because as a business owner, and even as a contractor, consultant, it's important to know the ins and outs of each. And so I really hope that people will invest in people such as you, for themselves, because that's extremely important. Now, what we want to highlight today is your ability to help people weather the storm of COVID-19. And I love that terminology because this is a storm. For many of us, we're used to storms, whether it be a hurricane, a tornado, somebody's got a storm outside, either physically, emotionally, or whatever it may be. But the storm that we're speaking of in COVID-19 is, as an HR professional, you are responsible for the hiring, firing, and employment of others. And this is a time where a lot of people are having to shift. They may be having to leave a career. I mean, you see people that have been working somewhere 20 years now have no job. And so this is a time that you really got to go back to the drawing board and really take note of your skills and abilities and see how you can use them in a different environment. So what is your advice? How can you help weather the storm of COVID-19 for individuals?
So the first thing the job seeker needs to understand is that everybody is going through this together. I know phrase has become very cliche, saying it, but it's the reality. So you have to be resilient to understand that things are changing for the HR professional the same way it's changing for the person looking for employment. So in HR, our tone is to spend more time looking at those resumes because we have the time. Most of us are working remotely from home, or we may be telecommuting once in a while to the office just to, dot a I or cross a T. But for the most part, we have more time, which is a luxury, to sit and look at a resume. And so if you have more time to examine a document, you have more time to decipher and understand what's on it, you're going to be able to choose a better candidate. Another thing that we had to go through was the furlough, layoff, and termination situation. That was an emotional battle for most. We don't get any kind of glory from firing people. You take it personally because this is a person. They have a family. People are depending on them. They're a part of society. So when you have to let someone go and you have no choice, it hurts. And I don't know that people appreciated or understood that the person sitting on the side of that table was the same as them. And so that would be my first suggestion: to be in your emotion. Deal with your emotion, understand that it's real and that it's raw, and that no one expects you to just kind of push it under the rug. Your feelings are hurt. You're scared, and we get it. We're scared too. But with that same thing being said, now it's time to dust yourself off, pick yourself back up, and make a strategic plan. So, for example, let's say, Anika, you were in retail and your store closed because it's a big box retailer and they're struggling as well. So now you get to hoist all of your experience, all your resume on your resume to get to a new area. So what we'd want to do is sit down and say, okay, Anika, what are your passions? What did you like about retail? What did you not like about retail? Once we figure out the triggers of the not likes, then we look for careers that they either don't exist in or that it's little to none. And then that's when you kind of decide what your next path will be. Once you find out your top 5, 10 things that you absolutely love, that's where you kind of want to focus your next career into. So being in retail, of course, you have multitasking, you have management, you have team player, things like that, just some soft skills that go to any employer. Now you need to write your resume with the focus to get you into that interview.
Okay, so I'm taking notes here. And you said first we got to deal with the emotional aspect, of course, acknowledging, accepting what it is that we're going through and the fact that it's real, but everybody's going through it, which is different for a lot of people who are unemployed. Normally we're going through things like this alone. And then you said create a strategic plan, which we need to be doing that continually anyway, whether it's a vision board in the beginning of the year, whether it's goal setting, whatever it may be. We harp on that, especially as life coaches. We harp on that because it's extremely important. You said acknowledge or identify triggers, your likes and dislikes about working as a team player or in a different type of environment. For instance, some people, you got to humble yourselves right now because Target and Domino's is hiring, Publix is hiring, and at the end of the day, I worked at Publix, a great place to work. For those of y'all that don't know, in the areas wherever you live, Publix is the bomb. And then one thing that I want you to elaborate on as HR terminology, you mentioned soft skills. What exactly is a soft skill?
So a soft skill is something that is not picking this up, putting it there. So a soft skill is like, trying to think of a good one. I'm trying to think of one that just pops off. Hold on. Let me Google mine. And then that way I can give you a whole litter of them. Trying to give you some that are going to be really impactful, that are going to be hard hitting, that is going to be super clear. Hold on. I apologize. Google is my friend.
I have Google up on the other screen.
Okay, so they're attributes to someone to effectively help them. So soft skills will be something as simple as communication skills, problem solving, leadership, teamwork. I would say the number one important soft skill is emotional intelligence. And the
Ah,
reason I say that,
I specialize in that.
the reason I say that is because emotional intelligence is probably the most underrated soft skill out there.
Um,
And people take it for granted,
yes, they do.
and it is probably the most powerful one there is,
Yes, it is.
um, outside of being a team player. And the reason I say emotional intelligence is important is because you're able to step back regardless of the situation and see it clearly. And that lends to problem solving, that lends to attention to detail. Like it, emotional intelligence is like the Thor with
Yep.
the hammer
Yep.
that can bust down any wall, any matrix, anything,
Yep.
if you know how to use it and recognize it and respect it. So I would definitely say your soft skills are important, and knowing how to put those on your resume is equally as important, because that's something we're looking for in the HR world. You can have the best employee, but if they don't have leadership skills, teamwork, and problem solving, they can get a process done. But if they can't work as a team, they're really not as great as they think they are.
Yes, ma'am. And I love emotional intelligence because it works on your ability to communicate and be empathic. And for a lot of us that came out of corporate, we came out of corporate for the lack of emotional intelligence. And I started studying it because as a psychologist, it was one of those things that I looked at. And people call us empaths, but really, no, we have high emotional intelligence. Those of us that feel, those of us that relate to others, those of us that can be congruent, we can kind of be chameleons to environments. We can, just blend in, but we feel and we think and we reevaluate and we're flexible and adaptable. That's extremely important. And what people need to be right now is adaptable and flexible. This is not an ideal situation, and you can't just say, oh, I don't want that job because I'm better than that. No, at this point, it's not about necessarily getting that ideal, best case scenario right now. You got to do some reevaluation, because one thing that I think, and I want your opinion as a professional, is I think that telecommunication is going to be higher now, because as a lot of people did not want to shift towards that move, which a lot of us business owners already were doing, people are going to realize how accessible the world is now. People have had to learn how to use these skills. And I think that employers are going to probably require more knowledge about this kind of, skill. What do you think?
So I feel like telecommunication got a bad rap from the manufacturing industry when everything kind of went over to overseas. Everyone made it seem like working from home or working from a different location instead of this brick and mortar was like a no-no. It was a
Yep,
dirty word.
correct.
And that's not true. A lot of companies were hesitant to let people work from home for the lack of trust. All you have to do is upload the proper software and you can see what my keystrokes are. And you know if I'm eating all day away from my computer or if I'm sitting here making those keys sing. But again, it's just, again, hiring people that have the emotional intelligence to be responsible to do their job. If you're hiring someone and you can't trust them to do their job, regardless to where they're sitting, that's definitely the wrong employee. And I think that's the come to Jesus that a lot of employers had to have with themselves as why they didn't want telecommuting, why they didn't want employees to work remotely. And then you also want to take in consideration the cost of not having a brick and mortar location for your employees. If every employee is working from home, you don't have to worry about the building. There's no building insurance. There's no light bill for this location. You just cut your losses by
Overhead.
your debt by how much?
Yes.
Now, of course, you want a meeting space for them to come and, take care of some things. But if you can have them all stagger that into one building for like 100 and some,
That's called
why
a
not?
virtual office that you can do once a week, once a month, or however you need.
Yes, ma'am. And so I think it forced people to be more creative and think outside the box. And that's something that a lot of companies were not interested in because it doesn't churn them to go to the bottom line directly, when in actuality it does.
Mm, mm, mm. Yes, ma'am. Um, there was something else that you said that I wanted to harp on, and now I can't remember what it was. But yes, so I think that that's something that individuals, oh, what it was, employers, you talked about trust, and you said to hire someone that has emotional intelligence that is responsible. How can you determine if you can trust someone in an interview process?
So I never liked the interrogation type of interview. It gets you nowhere. First of all, when the person comes in, they're already nervous. So they probably have already sweat through their first shirt. So they're probably on shirt or dress number two. Or they're drinking 18 bottles of water and they're like,
Klonopin.
yes, the anxiety and the stress of an interview is horrific for some people.
They don't
Other
want the job
people,
anymore.
right. So some people it's a walk in the park. Some people it is truly taxing. And so I've never been a fan of the interrogation. I'm not holding a flashlight like, tell me about yourself. No, that's not going to get you anywhere. I want the interview to be a conversation so that you forget you're in an interview and you let your shoulders down. A lot of people don't realize they sit like this because they're tense. But when they let their shoulders down, that's body language that we read as interviewers, that you get trained when you go through your certification. And when you read that body language to see those cues, now you know this person will answer those questions level headedly. So then I could say to you, Anika, tell me why you're better than the other 15 people that left the office.
Just because
And
I,
then,
oh,
well, of course, because you breathe. Yes, 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 yes. But all those things that you have from your past, why does that make you different? When I'm working with a client in my company, I always ask them what's their wow factor. The wow factor is something that only you possess, that no one else can possess. So for me, my wow factor was when I graduated with my undergraduate degree, I was 27. All my classmates were like 19 and 20. And so when I was in my interview, they were like, why should we choose you? And I said, because I'm 27 and I have life skills and I still have an almost 3.0 GPA being a single mom. And they were like, oh, okay. And what?
she might a little
Exactly.
bit.
Right. So once you get their ear and they understand that you're not the cookie cutter, cut out of what they think, then they're willing to listen to you. And then when they see that you're giving them genuine answers, you've built that trust. There's a foundation now. And so people hire people that they like. And if I like you, if you've earned my trust, I like you.
Interesting. So as we are in this digital age or whatever, what's your suggestion for someone submitting a resume? What's the protocol? For me, I never submit a cover letter ever, and I need you to tell people the right way.
So cover letters are not a thing of the past. I know people like to say, oh, they're a thing of the past. No, not really. I still do cover letters just as frequently as I do resumes. And the reason why is because a lot of employers say, I want a cover letter. And so, as many of us would like to pretend that it doesn't exist, it's still there. It may be a bobcat and it's not the dinosaur, but it's still there. And so, your cover letter needs to speak to why you're the best candidate. If you write a really good cover letter, that's going to have them like, ooh, what's on the resume? What else has she got? Or what else is here? Cover letter is just like blah, 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 blah. No one's going to want to read your resume. They may not even look at it because the cover letter was so boring. So you want to make sure that whatever you're submitting for this job in the digital age, it's current. Say that one more time. It's current.
Right.
And it's targeted to the industry you're trying to get into. Now, with today's digital age, everything is online. So you want to make LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and Indeed your best friends. And the reason why I say you want to make them your best friends is because that's how you're going to apply through the applicant tracking system. But with LinkedIn, specifically, you want to create a connection with the company. So I would say, I always tell my clients, pick out 10 companies that you absolutely love. And then you befriend those companies, connect with them online, and then you connect with the professionals that work for those companies. So I'm going to say, Nika, you work at those interning, and I want to be an intern for Joe Schmo. So I'm going to connect with Joe Schmo, the company, and then I'm going to connect with you because you're the recruiter. And then I noticed that when you posted something, I liked it, I read it, I liked it, and so I commented. So you saw my comment and you said, thank you for the comment. So now I have your attention. I could say, hey, how do you like working for Joe Schmo? And you're going to tell me because you don't know me from anything else. So you're like, hey, I like my job. Really? Yeah. Well, how long have you been there? Oh, I've been there 10 years. And then you may even go, further into detail telling me why you like it so much. So now I've gotten a relationship created with you. So now I can say, well, I noticed you guys were hiring for such and such. I'm thinking about putting in the application. Again, people help people that they. So then Anika could even go, you know what, just send me your resume and I'll take it over to HR for you. So now I just beat the applicant tracking system altogether because I got you to walk my application into someone's desk. And working in the field of recruiting, we love those hand-given referrals because the person that's giving you that referral gives you a sense of confidence that what they're presenting to you is of the same caliber of work.
That's right.
So it's 10 times easier if you create that connection with the company. So I know a lot of people hate networking. They're like, oh, I don't want to go to networking events. And that's because you have the wrong focus. Networking events are nothing but a conversation with friends you haven't met yet.
Yep.
Did you know anybody in your class before they became your classmate? No, they were strangers. So think of your networking event as going to class and you're meeting people. Networking event and no one there seems to fall, and mesh with your spirit or your tone or your motivation. Don't see it as a waste of time. You still got out and about. You still had conversations. Just because they didn't seem fruitful at the moment does not mean that they won't come back and circle to you. So I said that to say this. I used to hate networking. I loathed going to networking events because I felt like it was fake. Oh, I'm in here trying to talk to people I don't even know. This is stupid. So I went to a networking event. And the whole time I was there, I just was so frustrated because no one was as nice as me. Like everyone wanted to, stay in their own little bubble. They were already eating. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to give it one more shot. And if I don't meet someone that I want to hold a conversation with, I'm leaving. And so I saw this guy sitting at the table, asked him what was his flavor. He told me his flavor and he's like, hey, the seat is empty. Do you want to sit down? Sure. So we sat down and we talked over hot wings. Did I know this guy was going to hand me 3 clients 2 weeks later? No.
See?
Had no idea. All I know is he had some chicken wings. I was hungry. And I felt like the way he's eating those wings, I need to be down. So the smallest little connection can lead to business or it can lead to more recognition. You never, ever know why you met someone. So I just say relish in the connection and relish in the whole process itself.
All right. So we know that networking is key. I have one last question for you, and I want you to really, really break this down for everyone. Okay. How important is it to list yourself and have an accurate listing on LinkedIn today?
Okay, you broke up. I didn't hear you.
On LinkedIn, how important is it to be on LinkedIn? A lot of people, they're not on LinkedIn and they are really, to me, losing out. But I think LinkedIn is a great resource and it has so many tools on it for job seekers, for business owners, the classes. Can you just break that down, please?
So I will say this, LinkedIn, if you don't think LinkedIn is important, then you don't think it's important to brush your teeth every day. Mm-hmm. You don't think it's important to take a bath every day, and you're surely not combing your hair every day. It is that important. Hey, sometimes you got to make things crystal clear.
You're
You
right.
never know who your audience is.
I was sleeping on it until about 2 months ago, and now I had a profile, but I mean I hadn't paid it attention. I don't even know when. And then I upgraded like 6 months ago and just started using it like for real about 2 months ago. And I mean I have met people, I have put jobs on there, I have hired people off of there. My inbox is constantly going, and everybody's out here being Facebook famous, and as an HR professional, I I wish I would have known. I wish somebody like a career coach or somebody would have told me a long time ago to get on there. So I want you to tell everybody about what's going on LinkedIn these days.
LinkedIn is the professional social media. It's where we go to post jobs. It's where we go to find jobs. And sometimes it's unfortunately, some people go on their event the wrong way. But well, I will take away the unfortunately. That just tells the employer what you're going to hire because they're putting it out there in social media. So the first thing I'll say is social media is for everyone. It can either hurt you or help you. Hurt or help. You pick. Because whatever you post, it's there. It ain't going nowhere.
Forever.
Someone has screenshotted it and sent it somewhere, turned it into a meme or a GIF, something. So if you're posting on social media, make sure it's something you're comfortable standing behind 5,000%. Whether it's 2020, whether it's 2018, whether it's 1997, make sure you're comfortable with whatever you post because it's not going anywhere.
That's right.
Sleeping on LinkedIn, again, like I said, is a big no-no because we're all going to LinkedIn. I find a lot of connections on LinkedIn with people in HR. So there are groups on LinkedIn that you can focus on. Using your hashtag on LinkedIn gives kind of like a cookie trail to anything you post for people to go and find. LinkedIn also has the groups. So all HR professionals are in HR Tampa Bay. We have a LinkedIn. So if we want to disseminate information, we can. If you're in SHRM, they have a group on LinkedIn. If they wanted to disseminate information, they can. So you want to use LinkedIn kind of like your Black address book because you can find any and everyone on LinkedIn. And the people that aren't utilizing their profiles, they're the ones sleep at the wheel. I get seen in about 100 searches a week, and I'm not even looking for it. I have people that offer me but looking for employment, but it's because my LinkedIn is written the way it's written. So I would tell you if you don't have that same success, you need to get in contact with someone that can help you get that success because it's important. It's a great feeling to have someone say, "Hey, are you in the job market?" versus you saying, "Hey, y'all hiring? Hey, hello, hello, I need a job." Versus someone saying, "Hey, I saw your LinkedIn. Can you send me your resume? I think you may be a good fit for a position I have." It's great to get that feeling of where you're not searching, but you're the one being sought after. And having a good LinkedIn will give you that return. You can get the free LinkedIn and not have to worry about an additional cost, or you can upgrade and get the additional cost. So it's for every budget. Every budget can survive on LinkedIn. Number two, the thing about LinkedIn, to remember, it is like the size of China. It's not like 10 people around there. It's ginormous. Okay? Let's say that again. LinkedIn is like the size of China. Everybody is on there. And so you want to make sure, even though you're using it, it's not the only thing you're using. I love Glassdoor as a second